From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Hi everybody, Monday night, Rory Johnston in the chair. Just made my way over from the main studios here to News Channel 5 Plus. Time for OpenLine. We're glad you've tuned in. We're live here on a Monday night. I apologize for my allergies. Pollen's in the air, but what beautiful weather we've had. We do want to have a discussion about an important topic tonight, and that is colorectal awareness, colon cancer awareness, and also colon cancer, which is very widespread and can be very preventable. And a couple of experts are here with us. I want to welcome Dr. William Harb and also Dr. Sree
Suryadevara.
Suryadevara. Got it. Thank you both for being here from the Colorectal Center here in Nashville. Good to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Good to have you back.
Thanks for having us.
And good to see you. We appreciate it after a long day. 737 plus, everybody's the phone number. Wide open lines, and we don't want you to be shy about this topic. It's something that really we need a lot of information to be passed along to you because it is so important. The third most common cancer is colon cancer, and we're talking about colorectal cancer, which is both the colon and rectal cancer. The third most common cause of cancer-related deaths. So really, really important. What do you tell your patients? I mean, obviously, when someone gets to a specialist at your level, hopefully there's a lot of people who go to you for preventative measures for colonoscopy, but also they're going because now they're at a stage where they do have cancer, right?
Right. We see a colorectal surgeon's practice is broken up into preventive care as well as treatment of colorectal cancer. So we take care of patients who have colon cancer and rectal cancer, and then we also see those patients who do not have cancer, and obviously that's the kind that we enjoy taking care of as well. The ones who have colorectal cancer, we continue to tell them it's a very treatable disease. One of the purposes of colonoscopy is if you can't prevent it, at least let's catch it at an earlier stage before people have symptoms.
Let's talk a little bit about the colonoscopy because it is such a common screening test. I had one, I'm now 48. I had one done when I was 40, which is usually recommended not till you're 50, right, for men, but I saw it in my family history.
Right.
So with my primary care physician, we talked about it, and he said, sure, go ahead. And sure enough, doctor found some polyps, removed them, but everything else was fine, said see you in 10 years. And I may actually go back a little early, not wait until I'm 50. Fortunately, I'm pretty healthy, I hope, knock on wood. But the colonoscopy, why do you think there's so many men are afraid of it? What, you know, I've been through it, and it's really not a big deal.
I think, unfortunately, when you look at statistics and when you look at studies of why people aren't getting colonoscopies, the number one reason is my doctor didn't tell me. And
really?
So we continue to talk to people about, you know, you need it. And we still see people who say, well, gosh, I really didn't even know that I needed one. And so that's still out there. But of course, there is a stigma associated to colon cancer and rectal cancer.
Yeah. And
we recognize that as well. And we try and do what we can to do away with that stigma.
Right. But cancer is cancer in my book. It's, you know, any preventive measure that I can take as an educated patient, I'm going to do it, right?
Absolutely. I think if you can draw an analogy to breast cancer awareness, you can clearly tell that society and the public in general is much more informed on breast cancer awareness.
Definitely.
And that has to do with how we have been able to put the word out there in terms of educating the population. But in terms of screening for colon cancer, I think it hasn't quite been embraced because we haven't educated the public as much as we need to.
Right.
And as Bill mentioned, there's always going to be the uncomfortable conversation about having a colonoscopy or dealing with that particular part of your body, which not a lot of individuals openly or accept that conversation. And so it's a little bit of an uphill battle to enter into that conversation with many people, but ultimately I think if we educate our patients well and they understand the principle behind getting a colonoscopy and that it's for prevention, that we can really make some inroads into trying to prevent this overall serious problem.
And a little later on, after one of our first breaks, folks, I want to go through with the doctors specifically, because like I said, I've been there and gone through the process, so we can kind of debunk some myths here about the colonoscopy process, because trust me, it's not bad, it's not terrible at all. The prep, we'll talk all about that with the doctors, about what you go through. It's very simple and easy. It's painless, absolutely painless, and can absolutely save your life. So we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later.
I do mine every Monday.
What?
I do mine every
on
Monday.
Mondays, so that helps.
Yeah.
See, Sunday.
So
yeah.
it's easy.
Yeah.
Begin the week easy.
Perfect. Since you both were in medical school and now have been doing this for quite some time, what are some of the advances in detection and treatment now? It just sounds like it's pretty exciting, you know, all across medical fields, but what about in your field?
There's a little bit in the way of advances in detection, but still the kind of the gold standard and what everybody tends to go for detection of colorectal cancer is still colonoscopy. Colonoscopy has the advantage that that what you're looking for is benign polyps that ultimately can progress into cancer, and ultimately what you want to do is find those polyps and remove those polyps, which prevents colorectal cancer. The other tests that are out there, whether that be testing your stool for abnormal DNA or testing your stool for blood, all those tests ultimately lead to a colonoscopy.
Right.
And so that's one of the big differences.
If I could add on to that point, as Bill expertly said, colonoscopy is considered the best overall test, but we by no means want patients to not access any testing just because colonoscopy is not available, because we all know that colonoscopy is not necessarily available in some of the more rural communities. And in those circumstances where colonoscopy is not readily available simply because maybe there's not a nearby physician who can do it or a facility that can perform it, we want to stress that prevention is still possible. And that screening tests are still available, and as Bill touched to, testing stool for blood or for abnormal DNA which is linked to colon cancer, or you might be able to get a particular type of an X-ray done which can help detect problems. So it's not about specifically just pushing colonoscopy, it's about this overarching principle that prevention is significantly better than finding cancer and trying to cure it.
And we do see people who come in and say, Doc, you know, for whatever reason, I just don't want to have a colonoscopy. And in that patient, there's other ways of detecting cancers and even polyps, and there's other ways of doing it. And so it's not that we want to push colonoscopy. We do think it's better, but for people who don't want to have one, there are other ways.
Sure. 737+ if you would like to call in. And ladies out there, if there's a man in your life who you care about and you want to help out, we're going to talk a little bit about that too. It's really spouses, girlfriends, anyone, loved ones, family members of men who may be holding off can be a big impetus for them to finally go and get a colonoscopy or get tested, right?
Absolutely.
Agreed.
It's a team effort, everybody. So if you'd like to call in, great opportunity here. 737+ is the phone number. Some statistics here, just to throw out here. In 2015, it's estimated this year, more than 132,000 Americans will be diagnosed with colon and rectal cancer. That's amazing. And this year, about 3,000 Tennesseans will be diagnosed with. Do you have diagnoses in otherwise healthy patients, maybe even showing no symptoms, who come in for a regular screening? And
that's the most common symptom.
Is it really?
No symptoms. 70% of people have no symptoms.
Is it usually shocking for the patient?
It is.
Yeah.
Definitely. And there's different symptoms based on which part of the colon. For instance, rectal cancer, people typically have rectal bleeding. And so Sree and I will often see people who say, gosh, Doc, I just thought it was my hemorrhoids.
Right.
And so, anybody who has bleeding of any kind should have that investigated. Whereas cancers over on the right side of the colon typically don't have the same kind of symptoms. Patients get anemic, and you get different symptoms that way.
Wow. All right. With that, we're going to take our first break, everybody, and we'll come back with more Open Line on this Monday night right after this. Stay with us.